So the whole narrative around the shutdown is, it seems as if it is really spinning out of control here for the Democrats. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I'll have some comments on that here in just a sec. But here's this first from one of the House GOP leaders said this today.
Another Democrat said Senator Ossoff's calculation
is referring to John Ossoff, the senator in Georgia.
Is, quote, do I vote to open the government up and get crushed and can't raise a single dollar of low dollar money? Or do I vote to shut the government down and get $3 million from online fundraising? That's disgusting. Senator Ossoff is more concerned about getting low dollar donations from maybe some donor in California who's going to click on an email and give him $100 for his reelection. And so he's causing suffering on tens of thousands of people in his home state of Georgia. Senator Ossoff ought to send that tainted, dirty money back if he's raised $3 million off of the shutdown, off of the suffering he's caused, just so that he can get some more money from radicals around the country. Go look at his finance report during the shutdown.
And then this one. This is Senate Minority Whip. So this is one of the Democratic leadership persons. She's the whip for the Senate minority, Catherine Clark. She said this.
I mean, shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be, families that are going to suffer. We take that responsibility very seriously. But it is one of the few leveraged times we have.
That is a soundbite. Shutdowns are terrible. And of course, there will be families that are going to suffer. And we take that very seriously, but this is one of the few leverage times that we have. Now, I saw someone, I wish I could remember who it was. It was when I first woke up and I was thumbing through and saw a tweet and then wasn't able to save it. But someone speculated that this is potentially them creating an off-ramp for themselves. That she goes out, she says this thing that's super scandalous, and they use the backlash from that as the reason for them deciding to end the shutdown. So they're not caving to the Republicans. They're caving and they're distancing themselves from her. Interesting theory. Either way, it seems very clear to me that the Democrats think that this is they're obviously intentionally creating the shutdown. They want the shutdown because they think it's going to work for them. And thus far, from a narrative perspective, despite having the entire media obviously carrying water for the Democrats, the Republicans have been handling this pretty well. Again, from a narrative perspective. And there's this really interesting tension where they have to both sell that here's all the bad things that are happening because of the shutdown, but also we want the shutdown to keep going so that we could fire as many of these people as we possibly can because of it. And thus far, they've been able to manage this. What are we, the 22nd now? So we need like 9 more days before we get to that 30 days of shutdown where many of those furloughs become reductions in force. And as long as the director of OPM, Office of Personnel Management, and the director of OMB, Russ Vogt, the Office of Management and Budget, as long as OPM signs off on it, OMB can convert all of those furloughed employees to reductions in force and fire them all. They don't have to wait 60 days. They're fired. They owe them, I believe, the back pay for those 30 days. I think that's true. Maybe either way, it's like, who gives a shit? Give them pay for the next year. Hell, give them pay for the next 5 years. Any of those things are perfectly acceptable. Just to fire them. Get them out of there. Pay them whatever major severance package you need to pay them. And get them out of there. And then you don't have to pay for them after that. And you have them out. So the Republicans really do need the shutdown to keep going for at least, I think, another 9 days to get to that 30-day mark. And once they have, then after that, there isn't this tension anymore. It's very interesting to me that hasn't been an attack point from the Democrats. And I'm not sure exactly why. Riff them a new one. That's right, Forever Book. Riff them a new one. Yeah, Ozarker Pleb says, I still don't completely understand what the Democrats think they're getting with the shutdown. Well, I have something on that here in just a moment. But first of all...
The white man is back, baby! The white man is back!
I distinctly remember thinking nobody is in charge as I drove around New York City during the holidays in 2001.
Yeah, willing always. That was as I drove around New York City during the holidays in 2001. Yeah, no one's in charge. This is as we're the idea of a monarch is being memed and manifested more and more. What that really is going to look like is let's actually have someone who's in charge. No one passing the buck anymore. No, we want someone who's in charge. We want a Bukele. We want the guy that everybody knows is the HNIC. Everyone knows he's the boss. He's the one. Everything rises and falls on him. Now this woman, Senate Minority Whip Clark, Catherine Clark, you guys may remember her name. You may remember hearing her name within the last couple of weeks here on the show. Because as soon as I heard this, I was like, where do I know that name from? Senate Minority Whip Catherine Clark. Ah, that's right. This is the transgender son of Democrat House Whip Catherine Clark, recently arrested during a violent raid of international terrorist organization Antifa. So this woman who said this, that they're trying to use the pain of Americans as leverage to get these Democrat pet projects funded, this woman here, the Senate Minority Whip, Catherine Clark, her child is a transgender Antifa member who was just recently arrested. I would really like to see if someone out there in the administration, I know there are people in and around the administration who listen to this show. I've heard about it. I know they're there. If you're listening right now, this is a whopper right here. Get this clip of her saying this and pair it up with this being her child. Her child is a Trantifa member, and she's saying they're willing to put Americans in pain to stick it to the Trump administration. Make that one do numbers. Now, here may be one of the angles that they're taking. I saved this one several days ago, and it ended up working out very well because I've got a number of these now. This guy says, remember how I and others have occasionally mentioned how shit's going to pop off when the EBT cards stop working? Well, brace yourself, folks.
The federal government telling states not to send out November SNAP benefits. Here's the email I just got from the USDA. So here's the letter that the USDA sent us. You can see it's dated for October 10th. That was last Friday. Why am I now getting it today, Wednesday, the 15th? Well, it's because I did a story on SNAP benefit changes that are coming November 1st. I did that story yesterday. They responded by sharing this memo with us today. Let's take a closer look at it. Let's look at the second paragraph. Considering the operational issues and constraints that exist in automated systems and in the interest of preserving maximum flexibility, we are forced to direct states to hold their November issuance.
So look at this.
How are these people gonna pay their light bill if they can't sell food stamps? Cause y'all know a lot of people be selling their stamps, right? So how they gonna pay their rent? How they gonna pay their light bill? And they can't sell stamps. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all know somebody. I'm just trying to figure it out, because the food stamps we have in multi-purposes now. All these people.
If the EBT cards get shut off, those No Kings protests are going to be way more attended.
So my sister made a video about how my whole entire family gets EBT. And everyone is calling us bums because we don't work and we live off the government. And we are proud of that. Growing up,
we are proud of that. We are proud that we're ripping off the government.
This is what we were taught. We were taught to not have to work. We were taught to live off the government because it is there for us to use. And from what I could remember, it all started back with my grandparents. My grandparents used to get the paper, like the paper coupons to go and pay for, food and stuff like that. And that's when I was like, this is free money. Like, what? So living off of EBT is literally a tradition in our family.
Living off EBT is literally a tradition in our family. This chick's what? I don't know, maybe 20, 25, something like that. Doing a little math here. Grandparents are probably born in maybe the 50s, something like that. So 70 or 80 years of them developing this tradition of living off of EBT. They literally cannot survive without EBT. This is a permanent serf class. This is a permanent serf class that will absolutely chimp out when they stop getting their EBT. They quite literally are not capable of supporting and feeding themselves without it. They will starve to death without it.
Grandparents passed away. My mom started, applying, and she got approved for all 6 of us kids. And then, once my sister got older, she had her first child. She applied for food stamps, and she got, it was just like, a domino effect. One after another, we all got approved for EBT. And guess what? It's not going to stop there. Why? Because I have taught my children, and I'm going to be teaching my grandchildren, that they should do the same thing. They don't have to work. They could just have children, put themselves on EBT, get child support, all of that I do so I don't have to work, they could do it themselves too.
And then this one.
I just woke up. I got an email from EBT. I used to get $740 a month for my 2 kids. And we not getting EBT no more. They took the EBT. They saying I gotta work 20 hours a week. I'm not working for nobody. Get the fuck out of here. This is what Americans, taxpayer, work for us. They work for me. They gotta help me feed my fucking kids. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't be quitters now. Y'all been helping us all this fucking time. Now y'all want to tap out. Get the fuck out of here. I want my EBT, yo. I want my EBT. And I'm not working for nobody. I'm a fucking boss. What the fuck I look like working when the government is here to help? Come on. Y'all send all that money to Iraq, Ukraine. Y'all funding all these wars. But when it's time to help the Americans, y'all don't want to fucking help us? I need my fucking EBT, yo. I need my money, yo. I need my fucking EBT. Stop fucking playing with me, yo.
Yeah, you might think that this is satire. And it's possible. It's possible that maybe some of these specific videos here are satire. But I've known these people. I've seen these people that think exactly like this. So these specific videos could possibly be satire, but there are probably, I'd say there's probably somewhere between 1 and 3 million people out there who legitimately think like this. And yes, they absolutely will hit the streets and start burning shit down if and when the EBT gets shut off. This is where shit could get real interesting. And I'm wondering if this is part of the motivation for the Democrats, if they're intentionally trying to create this scenario so that we can get another, maybe instead of the summer of love, we get the I don't know, someone who's better at naming things come up with it. The winter of I don't know, winter of wisdom, What else? What else could it be? Yeah, I've paid my my reparations. This is a legitimate political problem that has to be resolved. It has to be resolved very quickly. Winter of welfare. Yeah, there you go. We're going to get a winter of welfare. Now, Spud Ruckus, they're going to chimp the fuck out until Trump opens the government back up with Medicare for illegals. That's the plan? I think that's probably the plan. That very well may be the plan. This is exactly how they would think. This is the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party is the party of crime and terrorism and violence against Americans. That is what the Democrat Party exists for. Anything that any sort of narrative or something they layer on top of that is just a cover story. They literally just exist for the sake of crime and terrorism. Now, there's a very interesting way that this thing could get nipped in the bud. Remember the tariff shelf? Wouldn't it be very? This is you got to go with the real politic here. The tariff shelf. If the EBT gets shut off, and yet at the same time, it's announced that there's going to be some sort of a Trump check. You remember all the videos coming up to 2024, where they're like, I don't know this guy Biden, but I got a check from my nigga Trump. I'm voting Trump because I got that check from him. That would be a very interesting political counter to this. And I know that the natural instinct is no, don't give them anything, just cut them off. But that's not realistic. We do not have the social fabric or the infrastructure or the political stability necessary to manage an underclass of several millions who are chimping out because they're not getting their gibs. We don't have the infrastructure to bear something like that. That would be a massive political crisis. But the checks, that'd be a very interesting way, having tariffs fund checks that are just going to everyone. Everyone's getting one. Yeah, you're not going to get your EBT, but you're going to get a check. Yeah, cheap vote buy. Trent Ferris says, any price is worth it to destroy the Dems. Yes. Mr. Stu says, well, if they chimp, then we'll have the infrastructure in place to deal with them as domestic terrorists, right? No, not within the next, 6 to 8 months at a minimum. Probably more like 1 to 2 years. The infrastructure is not going to be in place to deal with that. Because when they chimped about George Floyd, they were chimping opportunistically. This would be chimping angrily. That would be a whole different thing. You saw the damage they did when they were just doing it for fun. Now imagine the damage that they would do when they're actually mad. Yes, that's a really good framing, Trent Fear. They're mercenaries and we can pay them better than the Dems now. Yes. And you got to leave aside all of these people don't belong in the country, I don't want them here, there's a white nation, all that stuff. Sure, fine, great. It's great to have those conversations with yourself. It's not a political reality. There is no political reality within the next 5 to 10 years where something like this can be dealt with on the level that many people may want.
I've got an idea. Why don't we just kill him?
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Not anytime soon. Not within this presidential administration. The political will and the infrastructure that would be required to actually sustain a policy like that, to get it across the line, to get mass support for it, to not just do it, but to sustain it. Whether you're talking, euthanization or or Liberia or whatever. Anybody who's talking that way, if you're just doing it to blow off steam, whatever. But if you're talking that way seriously, as if this is actually a policy that ought to be pursued, you are out in la la land. You cannot even conceive of the level of political will and the coordination across millions and millions of people and dozens of agencies and hundreds of cities. There is no way. That's not even remotely conceivable. There's going to have to be some sort of paper it over solution for the short term. And I wonder if it's going to be drawing from the tariff shelf. Now, meanwhile, let's check in on our New Jersey Americans.